Hello everyone, my name is David. Today we are going to take a look at another horrible case with you. July 14th, 2023. Friday night, a family from Nainital district in the Indian state of Uttarakhand arrives at the Banbhoolpura police station. They had come to file a missing person complaint for one of their family members, Ankit Chauhan, who was 32 years old. In the complaint, they stated, "Since the morning of July 14th, Ankit went to work but hasn't returned home yet, and his phone has been switched off for several hours, making it difficult to contact him." Ankit's family had already reached out to his shop employees and even his friends, but no one had any information about him. Ankit Chauhan, age 32, was a well-known businessman in the city of Haldwani and used to travel outside the city for work. He owned a large automobile spare parts shop on Banbhoolpura Road. Along with that, he was also involved in the car dealership business. Besides these two businesses, Ankit also owned a restaurant. Because of all this, Ankit Chauhan was considered one of the major businessmen in the city, and even after the death of his father, he had achieved a lot. After learning all this, the Banbhoolpura police consoled Ankit's family and assured them that they would soon find him. The police then took immediate action and began searching for Ankit on a large scale late at night. During the night between July 14th and 15, the Banbhoolpura police were tirelessly searching for Ankit. But the next morning, on July 15th, 2023, while people were heading to their respective jobs, some local shopkeepers near the Teenpani railway crossing in Haldwani noticed a blue Volkswagen Polo car parked there. The strange thing was that the car had been parked in the same spot since they first saw it. Additionally, the car's engine was running, all the windows were closed, and the air conditioner was on. As time passed and no one came to collect the car, some people approached it and tried to peek inside. There, they saw a man lying on the rear passenger seat. Since the windows had been shut for a long time, people began to worry that the man inside might be having trouble breathing. They tried calling out to him and knocked on the windows several times, but when there was no response, they even attempted to shake the car. However, the man inside wasn't moving at all, which led one of the people to call the Haldwani police. On the call, he told the police that there was a suspicious-looking car with a man inside who wasn't moving at all. After hearing this, the police arrived shortly at the location and called a mechanic to open the car door. As soon as the mechanic opened the car door, a wave of cold air from the air conditioning came out. But when some police officers checked the man's breathing and pulse, they became very concerned because the man wasn't breathing and his heart wasn't beating. The police officers then immediately transported the man's body to a nearby hospital with the help of an ambulance, but after examining the body, the doctors declared him dead. But after this, when the doctors thoroughly examined the man's body, there were no signs of any injuries anywhere on it. Now the doctors kept the man's dead body in the hospital mortuary until the police could find out anything about his relatives. After this, the question before the police was whether this was a natural death or if someone had murdered the man and left his body in the car. Another question was whether this person had died due to lack of oxygen, since all the windows of the car were closed and the air conditioning system inside the car was running at lowest temperature. But the answers to all these questions could only come once the police got some information about the identity of the deceased. Now, the Haldwani police station informed all the nearby stations about the dead body found in the car. As a result, on the evening of July 15th, they found out that a missing person report had been filed the previous day, July 14th, at the Banbhoolpura police station. A call was made from Haldwani police station to Banbhoolpura police station, which is only half a mile away. The Haldwani police asked Banbhoolpura police if they could send the missing person's family to Haldwani police station. After that, when Ankit's family came to the Haldwani police station, the police immediately took them to the hospital. When they were shown the dead body that was found on the morning of July 15th, they identified it as their son Ankit Chauhan. After that, it was as if a mountain of sorrow had collapsed on Ankit's home, because apart from Ankit, only his sister was left, and he was the sole earner in the family. The police then explained everything to Ankit's family about the condition in which the body was found. It was possible that Ankit had died of a heart attack due to lack of oxygen, and hearing this, Ankit's family also accepted that Ankit had died a natural death. But even after hearing the whole story, Ankit's family wondered how Ankit's car ended up there. Although Ankit occasionally drank alcohol, could it be that on July 14th, he drove the car there under the influence? After that, he lost consciousness, kept the car running, and died there due to lack of oxygen. According to the employees who worked at Ankit's shop, they had last seen Ankit driving away alone in his car. After hearing this, the question arose as to how Ankit's dead body ended up on the back seat of the car. This led the police to suspect that maybe someone had poisoned Ankit and then left him on the back seat of the car. In fact, if Ankit had only been unconscious, he might have regained consciousness after some time and tried to open the car. Also, since Ankit's dead body was found on the back seat, there was suspicion that someone else had driven the car to the Tanpani railway crossing. But the answer to all these questions could only be given by Ankit's post-mortem report, which would reveal how Ankit had actually died. Anyway, Ankit's post-mortem was conducted, and during this, a total of 8 samples were collected from his body. After that, the forensic scientists handed over Ankit's body to his family. Then, on July 16th, 2023, with heavy hearts, Ankit's family performed the last rites of their young son according to their religious customs. But when Ankit's post-mortem report came out the very next day, on July 17th, 2023, not only was his family shocked, but the police were also stunned. According to the post-mortem report, Ankit had died due to snakebite and the spread of venom in his body. But the most shocking part was that the snake had bitten Ankit on both legs, and both bites were on the exact same spot on each leg. Now that the post-mortem report had come out, the police were suddenly faced with a long list of questions. So now the police also started investigating Ankit's death from the angle of murder. Before moving forward, let us tell you that the Indian state of Uttarakhand is known for its many pilgrimage sites, which is why it has been nicknamed the Devbhoomi, or Land of the Gods. Uttarakhand is also a naturally beautiful state, nestled in the Himalayas, and the people living in the hills are known to be kind-hearted. That's why crimes like this are extremely rare in the region. But now, the police formed a total of 4 separate teams to solve the murder case of Ankit Chauhan. One of these teams was tasked with collecting and examining CCTV footage from around the area where Ankit's car had been found. The second and third police teams took Ankit's phone number from his family and began retrieving his call detail records and location history. The fourth team's job was to talk to Ankit's family members and the staff at his shop, those who had last seen him. The first breakthrough came during the analysis of the CCTV footage. Around 6 p.m. on July 14th, Ankit's car was seen moving through the Gorapadao area of Haldwani. After that, the car was seen leaving the area around 11 p.m. Then Ankit's car was seen traveling about 14 miles from Gorapadao to Bujiakat, which takes roughly half an hour. But the car stopped for some time in Bujiakat, and then it was parked near the Tanpani railway crossing. However, there were no CCTV cameras at the exact spot where Ankit's car had been parked. But later, in one of the CCTV footages, the police saw another white car approaching Ankit's Volkswagen. When they continued watching the footage, they saw that the white car stayed there for about 2.5 minutes and was then seen leaving the area in a different camera angle. The police had no information about what happened during those 2.5 minutes. However, Ankit's location history confirmed that he had driven his car from his shop to Gorapadao, then from Gorapadao to Pujiagat, and finally to the Teenpani railway crossing. In addition, the police team checking the call detail records found that on July 14th, Ankit had spoken the most to a girl named Mahi Singh, and she was also the last person he spoke to. Upon tracking Mahi Singh's location, the police discovered that she also lived in the Gorapadao area, the same place Ankit had first gone. When the Haldwani police asked Ankit's family about his relationship with Mahi Singh, they said they didn't know any girl by that name. But for some reason, the police had begun to grow increasingly suspicious of Mahi Singh. So when they tried to check her current location, they found out that her cell phone had been switched off since the night of July 14th. This deepened the Haldwani police's suspicion of Mahi even more. After that, the police decided to find her and first went to her house, but it was locked. Then, when the police checked Mahi's call detail records, they found several numbers she had talked to on July 14th. But 2 of those numbers stood out as she had spoken to them more than the others. Then when the police pulled the details of both those numbers, they found out that one of them belonged to a man named Deep Kanpal, and the other number was registered under the name of a person named Ramesh Nath. After this, when the police checked the location history of Deep and Ramesh, they discovered that both of them were in the Gorapadao area on July 14th, the same place where Mahi and Ankit were last seen. Now, when Haldwani police informed Ankit's family about all these suspects, Ankit's sister immediately filed a murder case against Mahi Singh and Deep Kanpal for her brother's death. Because of this, the police also put all 3 suspects' phone numbers under surveillance. Here, the police also found out that Ramesh Nath's phone was active, and that he was currently in Haldwani. After this, the Haldwani police traced his location and arrested him on July 18th. During initial questioning, the police found out that Ramesh was a snake charmer. This revelation shocked the Haldwani police, and now, due to the continuous communication between Mahi Singh, Ankit, and the snake charmer Ramesh Nath, suspicion of Ankit's murder shifted entirely onto Mahi. One reason was that Ankit died from a snake bite. The second was that his last call was with Mahi, and his last known location was near Mahi's house. The third reason was that Mahi had been in frequent contact with the snake charmer Ramesh Nath over the past few days. After considering all this, when the Haldwani police interrogated Ramesh more strictly, he made some shocking revelations. But before moving forward, if you appreciate the effort we put into bringing every case to you, please consider liking this video. Thank you. Here, Ramesh Nath told the police that he, along with Mahi Singh and 3 other associates, murdered Ankit Chauhan. That means a total of 5 people were involved in Ankit's murder. The main accused was Mahi Singh, the second was Deep Kanpal, the third was Ramesh Nath himself, and the 4th and 5th were Mahi Singh's maid Usha Rani and her husband Ramavatar. At this point, the police already had Mahi and Deep's cell phones under surveillance, but now they also put Usha Rani and Ramavatar's phones on surveillance. This move by the police turned out to be successful because one day Mahi and Deep's phones were turned on. Tracing their location, the police arrested both of them on July the 23rd, 2023, from Adityanath Jha Government Inter College, located 22 miles from Gorapadao in Rudrapur. But the very next day, on July 24th, the Special Operations Group of the police tracked the location of Mahi's maid, Usha Rani, and her husband, Ramavatar, and arrested them from the city of Malda, in the Indian state of West Bengal. After this, the police brought both of them to Haldwani, Uttarakhand, on a transit remand. But let us tell you that the Bangladesh border is not far from Malda, and if the police had delayed their arrest by even a day, both of them might have escaped to Bangladesh. But after getting arrested, each one of them started to confess, and they told the police the entire story behind why and how they killed Ankit. Actually, Mahi had always been an open-minded girl. She only studied up to high school and never pursued further education. However, in school, Mahi was a very bright student and was also very good in sports alongside academics. But then, in 2008, during school, Mahi had a very messy breakup with a boy, and that breakup became a turning point in her life. Where once Mahi was a promising student in school, after the breakup, she felt suffocated at home and eventually decided to leave her house. After leaving her home and family, Mahi was no longer afraid of anyone. Now she could do whatever she wanted, and as a result, Mahi fell into bad company. But after some time, Mahi got involved in the business of prostitution, and through this work, Mahi Singh started making a lot of money. Perhaps her beauty and young age were the only reasons behind it. Gradually, Mahi Singh established connections with many businessmen, both small and big, as well as several politicians in the city. Because of this, when the police pulled out Mahi's contact list, it showed the contacts of 20 prominent businessmen and politicians from the city. When the police questioned the neighbors, they found out that expensive cars frequently came to Mahi's house, and she would leave in them. During this time, all the neighbors had come to know what kind of work Mahi was involved in, and none of them considered it appropriate to even talk to her. But then, in 2016, Mahi met Deep Kanpal, who gave her emotional support, and whenever Mahi faced any trouble, she would go straight to her friend Deep. Gradually, the two grew closer and started liking each other. However, there is no clear information on whether Mahi continued her work in prostitution even after getting into a relationship with Deep Kanpal, because there was no change in her lavish lifestyle. In fact, in 2020, Mahi even bought a car, and during this time she met Ankit for the first time, as she bought the car from Ankit and his company's store. This marked the beginning of their friendship, and from the start Ankit found Mahi very attractive. As time went on and Mahi began expressing her love for Ankit, he too started falling in love with her. They eventually got into a relationship, and Mahi forgot about her old boyfriend Deep. But perhaps Mahi's love for Ankit and her decision to forget Deep Kanpal lasted only a few months. When Ankit and Mahi entered into a relationship, it's likely that Ankit had no idea about Mahi's past. During their relationship in 2021, Mahi hired Usha Rani to help with household work. Over time, Mahi and Usha Rani became very close friends, and Mahi would occasionally drink alcohol with her. But Ankit didn't like any of this, and after a few months he also found out about Mahi Singh's real profession. After that, Ankit became very disappointed and started preventing Mahi from meeting her clients. He even began showing up at her house unexpectedly. Ankit's behavior was now greatly affecting Mahi's earnings, and she could no longer do things freely. Eventually, Mahi asked Ankit if he wanted to marry her, hoping to enjoy a comfortable life off his income after marriage. Mahi knew that Ankit was a businessman, and during the early stages of their relationship, Ankit had spent a lot of money on her. But ever since Ankit found out that Mahi was involved in prostitution, his perspective on her completely changed. Initially, he too was infatuated with Mahi's beauty and wanted to marry her, but now he clearly refused her proposal. This made Mahi feel that Ankit had used her. Moreover, when Ankit stopped Mahi from visiting Usha or drinking with her, Mahi started going to Usha's shack to drink. Actually, Usha, her husband, and their 2 children lived as a small family in a tiny hut they had built themselves. They didn't own a house of their own. But when Ankit found out that Mahi had started going to Usha's hut to drink in order to avoid him, he used his influence with a powerful person to have Usha's hut vacated. As a result, Usha Rani, her husband, Ramavatar, and their 2 children became homeless. And this was the point where the maid and her family became enemies of Ankit. But then Mahi decided to let Usha Rani and her family stay at her home after their hut was demolished. However, Mahi didn't like Ankit's behavior at all because, according to her, Ankit was now interfering too much in her life. After all this, Mahi started thinking of a plan to get rid of Ankit completely. When she discussed it with Usha Rani, she too agreed to be part of Mahi's plan, as she and her husband were already enemies of Ankit. After that, Mahi began researching online about ways to kill someone and also gathered complete information about how to destroy evidence. What she needed was an idea that would make it look like Ankit had died a natural death. During this time, Mahi came across information online that if she could somehow get Ankit bitten by a snake, it would result in his death. Mahi also believed that no one would suspect anything because every day, countless people around the world die from snake bites. After this, Mahi went back to her ex-boyfriend, Deep Kanpal, because she believed he could somehow find a venomous snake. But even after searching for days, Deep wasn't successful in finding one. So Mahi assigned the task to her maid Usha's husband, Ramavatar, and within a short time he managed to find a snake charmer named Ramesh Nath. Then, in June 2023, Ramavatar introduced the snake charmer Ramesh to his mistress Mahi at her house, where Deep Kanpal and Usha Rani were also present. In front of all three of them, Mahi told Ramesh, "I have a boyfriend named Ankit Chauhan. In the beginning, our relationship was going really well, and we shared all those romantic moments that every couple does. But over the past few months, things have turned bad, and now Ankit has some objectionable photos and videos of me that he's using to harass me. So now I have no other choice but to have him killed, and I need your help to do that." Even though the entire story was fake, Mahi didn't let Ramesh suspect her for even a moment. Still, Ramesh refused to agree to commit murder, as he had never done anything wrong in his life. He was just a regular snake charmer who earned a living by catching snakes that entered people's homes. But over the next few days, Mahi started talking to Ramesh on the phone and intentionally tried to get close to him so she could trap him in her web of love. Ramesh quickly fell for Mahi, and during this time she also promised to pay him 10,000 Indian rupees, around $118 after Ankit's murder. After all of this, Ramesh finally agreed to kill Ankit for Mahi. After this, the five of them together make a plan to kill Ankit. Their plan was that Mahi would first invite Ankit to her house and give him something laced with drugs. Once Ankit lost consciousness, Ramesh would get a snake to bite him, making Ankit's death appear accidental. Then on July 6, 2023, Ramesh received a call from a local beauty parlor informing him that a snake had been spotted on their premises and asking him to rescue it. Ramesh went there, rescued the snake, and placed it in a large plastic bottle, informing Mahi about it as well. 2 days later, on July 8th, it was Ankit Chauhan's birthday, and Mahi felt that there couldn't be a more perfect day to kill him. Mahi planned to call Ankit to her house under the pretense of a birthday party and, once he was unconscious, have Ramesh's snake bite him. On July 8th, Mahi invited Ankit over to her house for the party. At that time, Deep Kanpal, Usha Rani, her husband Ramavatar, and the snake charmer Ramesh Nath were already hiding in the house. That night, Mahi and Ankit partied together, and she gave him a large amount of alcohol. Mahi believed Ankit would pass out from the intoxication, making it easier to kill him. However, Ankit didn't get drowsy at all, and when Mahi asked him to stay the night, he refused and went home after the party. With this, Mahi's entire plan had failed, and now they began looking for another opportunity to kill Ankit. On the morning of July 14th, Mahi once again called Ankit and invited him over for a party in the evening. At that moment, Ankit agreed, unaware that this would be the last party of his life. Around 6 p.m., Ankit arrived at Mahi's house for the party, and this time Mahi had also prepared sleeping pills. Her 4 accomplices were once again hiding inside the house, waiting for Ankit. When Ankit arrived and asked for water, Mahi mixed 1 or 2 sleeping pills into it. They chatted for a while, and then Mahi brought out alcohol and poured it into his glass herself, urging him to drink so that he would pass out quickly. By nightfall, due to the combined effect of the alcohol and sleeping pills, Ankit fell asleep on Mahi's bed. Once Mahi confirmed that Ankit was in deep sleep, she called snake charmer Ramesh Nath to come out. At the same time, Deep held Ankit tightly while maid Usha Rani and her husband Ramavatar held Ankit's hands. Ramesh then took out the Indian cobra he had and made it bite Ankit on the leg. However, Mahi felt that the snake may not have bitten Ankit properly, so she told Ramesh to make it bite his other leg as well. Afterward, Deep started Ankit's car, and they placed Ankit's dead body in the back seat. Their plan was to take the car to Pujiyaghat and push it into a deep gorge. But when they reached there, they saw many tourists around, so they cancelled the plan. During this time, Ramesh Nath was also following Ankit's car on his scooter. When they cancelled the plan, Ramesh immediately called Mahi to ask what to do next. After this, Mahi is the one who tells them to leave Ankit's car running, park it near the Teen Pawnee railway crossing, and come back. Now, Deep Kanpal starts driving Ankit's car toward the railway crossing, and this time Mahi also arrives near the railway crossing by booking a private taxi. Actually, Mahi had booked this taxi to travel from Haldwani to Delhi. Their plan was to first go to Delhi and then head toward Nepal. But before leaving for Delhi, Mahi carefully checks Ankit's car herself to make sure all the windows are properly closed and the doors are locked. Then Mahi, Deep Kanpal, Snake Charmer, Ramesh Nath, Usha, and her husband Ramavatar sit in the taxi that was booked for Delhi. But before leaving, Mahi had instructed everyone to keep their phones switched off for the next few days and only turned them back on when things cooled down. Also on the way to Delhi, in a forest along the route, Ramesh Nath releases the Indian cobra. After this, Mahi gives Ramesh Nath, her maid Usha, and Usha's husband Ramavatar 10,000 rupees each as promised, meaning she got Ankit murdered for a total of 30,000 Indian rupees. Anyway, after a journey of about 6 hours, they all finally reached Delhi, and from here they were supposed to go to Nepal. But after some time, their plan changes. Mahi and Deep stay back in Delhi. Usha and her husband Ramavatar go to the city of Malda in West Bengal because Usha's parental home was there. Meanwhile, Snake Charmer Ramesh makes the mistake of returning to Haldwani, and on top of that, he turns on his cell phone midway. Because of this, the police solve the case within a few days and start arresting all the accused one by one. After this, the police prepared a charge sheet against all 5 accused and began court proceedings. All of them are still behind bars. However, in the beautiful Indian state of Uttarakhand, no one had ever seen a case where someone was murdered using a snake bite. Because of this, the case spread rapidly within the peaceful local community, but so far, no official sentence has been handed down by the court, as the trial is still ongoing. If any new information about this case comes to light in the future, we will definitely share it in a community post on the David True Crime channel. So with that, the Ankit Chauhan murder case comes to an end right here. If you appreciate our efforts, like and share this video. If you haven't subscribed, do so now. Thank you.